Hello everyone, welcome to another week of our City of Mist, the Reaper Soldiers game. Tonight we are joined with three of our players. We do have a returner that you haven't actually seen in our videos, but he was here during kind of our testing session. He is currently eating, so you will see him in a little bit, but that would be Shadowhawck. And once he actually hops on, we'll have him introduce his character. We are also joined by Spoon, playing as our history teacher, William. And we have Qed playing as our businessman, investor of sorts, Calvin Sweete. So, welcome everybody. Thank you guys all for joining me tonight. Let's go ahead and hop right in. So, last time, previously on the Reaper Soldiers, you three, being William, Calvin, and Mike, had decided to try to locate the Samson house. You came across this address on a locket that was provided to you by a homeless gentleman in the back of the alley behind the coffee shop, and it seemed to link back to the drug dealer known as Dominic. You all had an idea that obviously this address must be in the blue-collar district, but you didn't know quite where. And so you all decided to head in on three different methods of transportation. William traveled on a horse he borrowed from the school. Mike traveled on the donkey that he uses for his job as a garbage man. And Calvin traveled in his own private hansom cab. As they were traveling through the blue-collar district, Calvin wanted to get a more direct pointer towards this address, and he happened to see a constable running down the street chasing after a teenage boy carrying some kind of bag. Seeing a chance to help this constable, he swung open his door, hitting the kid, knocking him to the ground. Not knowing quite as powerful or how fast he was going, the kid was injured. Quite severely, in fact, and Calvin found himself in kind of a difficult predicament. Constable was obviously upset. It seemed he had some kind of connection to this kid or something about he's been looking for this kid for a while, and it went so far to call in backup. A mounted constable arrived, and as a conversation was being had, three individuals stepped out of a nearby dive bar and began approaching the crew. The constables noticed these three individuals carrying bats and hatchets, and instead of possibly going and approaching them, trying to get them to stop, they kind of fled in a bit of terror, leaving Calvin, the body now of this dead kid, and these three newcomers. William was able to recognize that these were three members of the Odero family. The blue-collar district, being so large with so many people, just simply does not have enough constables to actually cover the entire district. And so a family known as the Odero family kind of does that. They are the enforcers of the district. They don't tend to lean on violence that often, but when outsiders come in and start messing with things, they definitely can head in that direction. Luckily, Calvin was able to use some of his honey words and a bit of coin from his pocket to tempt them to just walk away from the situation, and also offered to pay for their funeral, allowing him to get back in his hansom cab and continue on the way. After doing a bit more search, they were able to knock on a few doors and get a direct point towards where this Samson home was. They found out that the residents haven't lived there for quite a while, and that the people that are there now are kind of sketchy. The house was located on the far end of a cul-de-sac, kind of the end of the street, very close to the river. More of a shack and shanty town than it is the regular apartments and tenements that you are all used to seeing. A single-story house set off with really not a lot of very close buildings off by itself. As the three of them approached the house, they couldn't decide exactly how they wanted to proceed, what they wanted to do, so Calvin took the lead. Walking behind a bush, he came out appearing as an old man. Stumbling towards a door, he began knocking, trying to force his way in, and once inside, well, he went a bit crazy. He thought he was in the right house. He was looking for the toilet. He was covered in mess. He was a variety of things, and he was able to spot a few individuals within the home. Two fairly large, impeding-looking individuals, and one younger man sitting on a couch. As he began stumbling around the house, Mike and William approached the door and also tried to gain access, claiming that Calvin was their father, and he might be a bit lost, a bit senile, so it might be best that they go inside and gather him. Of course, the guy at the front door didn't want to allow them entry, so there was a bit of a scuffle at the front. Calvin moved his way inside. Even with a gun pointed to his head, was able to use some of his quick thinking and skilled words to prompt the kid off the couch, and the kid saw this as an opportunity to get out of this house, the same house that the crew had heard some loud yelling going on only moments before. With the young kid, now recognized as Dominic, having his arm wrapped around Calvin's shoulders, they made their way to the front door, in which Mike wanted to make sure there was a way for them to get out, a way for them to escape. So he took hold of the guy trying to bar them from entry and flew into a tree. Unfortunately, in the tree, the guy fell out, and instead of falling to the ground, pulled out a knife and stabbed it into Mike's leg, causing a horrific gash. Blood began to pour all over the place. Calvin was able to rip the guy off. William was able to pull Dominic onto his horse and race off. Mike decided he didn't want to jump out of the tree, especially not with this leg injury. Why not fly to my horse as well, or to my donkey? He was able to do so, but again, not very safely. He suffered pretty devastating scratches, cuts, and wounds from the tree branches as he whipped through them, and now finds himself draping over his donkey. Calvin was able to move behind another bush, out of the eyes of those that were at the home, now coming out of the home with guns drawn, trying to find where these strangers that had just barged into their home had gone. And behind that bush walked a common dock worker. So that is where we are. It looks like we have just had Mike join as well. So once he gets into roll 20, we can catch that. But let's go ahead and hop right on our horse with Mr. William. So William, you were out of there before anything happened. You're not quite sure where Mike is, where Calvin is. All you know is that Dominic's on your horse. Is he sitting in front of you or behind you?
Oh yeah, he's in front of me. I'm not going to let him just jump off the horse or anything.
So as you're running through the blue collar district, where's your plan? Where are you trying to go?
I'm going to head back to the pit. It seems the safest place. That's probably where everybody's going to go. So I'm going to try and ride back to the pit and, go to the pit building there, and it should be safer than most.
So as you're riding, Dominic is definitely just trying to grab on, stay steady, but you see he keeps trying to look behind him, trying to get a better look at you. And after probably the third or fourth, he stops, like holding on to the hair of the horse and just turning and like staring you. Where have I seen you before?
Yeah, boy, now's not the time, okay? I've been around. We've run into each other. I have questions, but now I'm getting you to safety. So, just hold your questions until we're safe.
All right. Yeah, and thank you for pointing that out, Kat. It does look like it's okay. Just need to actually switch a few things around here. Oh, there we go. That is weird, but should be okay. Sorry, everybody. Let's slide this over. How you doing, Phazon?
Doing okay. Work been a little longer than usual.
No worries, buddy. No worries at all. All right, perfect. So we have everybody back. So as you are talking to him, you see him start to kind of look around the crowd, and as you begin to get fairly close to the end of the bridge, You see him have a moment of realization. The coffee shop, right?
Look, I said no questions, okay? You can wait.
So with
Bit busy
that,
running.
as you begin getting quite close to the bridge, he looks over to the side, and there's a bit of a like front garden, and you see him begin to jump off the horse. He goes to just push himself out of your arms and just fall into the grass off the side of the horse. What do you want to do?
No, I'm gonna grab him by the pants, you know? I'm gonna hold him in place.
Okay.
Why would I let him jump off?
So I'm going to go ahead and put a few story tags in here. So we have quick horse, and then we have like busy streets, because it's the blue collar district. So those are 2 story tags. I think the quick horse is probably going to work as a disadvantage because he's going to be moving away from it. But what tags are you going to use? And this will be a go toe to toe move because he's trying to escape from you.
Well, we're gonna do some super speed, yeah.
Okay.
The strength to carry a bull.
You'd always use the quick horse.
I think the quick horse would be working against him in this mode because as he's trying to fall off the horse is going one way and he's falling away from it. So the momentum's actually going to be pulling him away from the horse.
Well, I thought he was already like hopped off already.
No, he's in the process of pushing himself off. So he's not all the way off yet. He has a chance to like correct him and hold him on there to keep going.
I'm also gonna use terrifying because he really doesn't want to, make me angry.
Sounds good.
So it's just a -1 for quick horse, I guess.
Yep.
There we go. And then go toe to toe. Hey.
Okay. So you have a power of 2 in this case. You can choose one of those options.
I'm gonna block, dodge, or counter their best attempt. So I'm just gonna keep him on the horse.
So with this one, for these kind of moves to work well, I think it's best to put basically what could happen with each one of these choices, so that way we can get on the same page as far as what you're negating. Whenever we have kind of these single choice moves, the best thing to kind of move the story forward is for me to then choose, okay, what did you not choose, to then continue with that kind of plan. So to achieve your goal, that would be holding him on the horse, but that means he possibly, in this case, he probably is going to rear his head back to at least try to damage you, break your nose, something like that. You can let him go, but also go off the horse with him, kind of inflicting a status. So as he goes, you jump off the horse too and tackle him to the ground. So then it's changing the environment. You're not getting exactly what you want, but you're still able to kind of control the scenario. Or you block, dodge, or counter their attempts, which means you're giving yourself enough time to kind of slow the horse down. You see him land on the ground, and you are now not at a disadvantage. Like you're controlling the horse at that moment. You're not putting a lot of space between you and him to then get into a foot race if you wanted to.
Oh no, then I'll go off the horse with him.
Okay.
Screw it.
So as he goes off, you go to, tackle him. So you can inflict a tier 2 status. Are you wanting to just restrain him, or are you wanting to hurt him?
I want to restrain him. I don't want to hurt him.
Okay. So we could say this is like a tier 2 tackled.
Would that technically be a tier 3 tackled because the story tag?
So it was a negative. So as we're adding up your powers as well, any kind of negatives do subtract from your power.
Okay. Okay. I'm just making sure there. Yeah, just kind of like a restrained 2 or something, so he's not running away.
Perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that on here. So you dive off the horse, and you're able to tackle him down to this small little green kind of front yard, probably like go up and over a fence and have him down there. While that's happening, the camera kind of fades over, and we see Calvin walking out from behind a couple trees and beginning to head down the street. Calvin, as you're walking down the street, the Samson house is kind of fading behind you. you see a procession of another fairly large black, cab with 3 other horsemen around it, making their way down the street towards that house. You turn around, you see the other 2 individuals that have been chasing you are both back inside the house. What do you want to do?
Okay, so there's a vehicle heading back towards the house, and then the other guys have gone inside already.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm just a general guy in the area. I'm sort of blending in. So I'm hoping my buddy is taking care of our rescued / kidnapped victim. So I'm actually gonna mill around for a little while just to sort of scope out and see what's happening with this black cab approaching the house to see who comes out of it.
So as you wait there, you see one of the horses kind of right up ahead and position itself kind of at the edge of the cul-de-sac. You notice that rider doesn't actually get off. And in fact, he actually pulls out a revolver and begins kind of scanning. You see him kind of look at your direction. He gives you this look of like, don't come closer, kind of clear out. The look that you would recognize as any kind of enforcer gives to the general public to kind of just say, the area is not safe. The cab then pulls around and the driver gets down. He opens the side door and out steps probably about a 40-year-old Asian gentleman. He has...
Do I recognize him as Shin Lim?
You have... I don't know if you've seen Shen Lim before.
I saw him in the vision when I communicated with the spirits.
Yes, absolutely. So it 100% you would recognize him. He stands probably about 5'2". He has a long braided dark hair that folds down his back. Give me a second here. Gotta pull up his actual description for a moment. There we go. So he's wearing a dark purple like top coat. He has a white shirt, black tie, slacks. He has polished shoes. On the top of his head, he has this extremely kind of oversized felt top hat. He walks out kind of with a mission, and as the 2 other riders come in, they hop off and follow him. So the 3 of them head towards the front door. They open it, and all 3 of them enter inside. The other rider still sits at the edge of the cul-de-sac, just kind of looking over the scene.
Okay. I am going to try and sort of move off to sort of like an alleyway to the side, just out of view of the general public.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? No, I'm gonna start walking down the street. Never mind. I'm just gonna start walking down the street, slowly going in the direction that my companions were going.
Okay, so you start heading down the street. Off in the distance, you can kind of see the hunched over form of Mike. Mike, you're riding through the blue collar district. Your leg is pounding in pain. You have cuts on your face, your arms, your chest that are bleeding, but the pain in your leg is what hurts the most. Your vision is starting to get blurry. You still have some control over the donkey. Are you trying to lead it to any place in particular?
No, I think I'm just gonna let the donkey decide.
Okay.
I'm gonna focus on keeping myself alive.
So as you begin to head, you notice like the donkey take a sharp turn to the left and begin to head south. You start to kind of recognize the bridge you're approaching is going to lead over the river and lead towards the pit. As you're kind of going past all of these apartments and tenements, you start to notice, ever since the church, your vision has been a bit different. You know, you used to be able to recognize things that were not seen by sleepers a little bit better, you know, maybe be able to glimpse the other rifts of the city a bit more clear. But since you kind of lost that aspect of you, everything has been a bit less clear. But as you begin wandering by, a lot of people are starting to kind of look at your direction, seeing this large man just bleeding on top of this donkey, kind of making its way slowly to the streets. But off in the distance, there's one man that stands out to you. He almost walks out of the crowd and makes his way onto the street. and he's staring directly at you. As you get a bit closer, you can see that it's a white man. He's wearing a light gray suit with a dark black shirt and a gray tie. He has a gray fedora, and he's also wearing sunglasses. And as you get a bit closer, he begins to smile.
Creepy.
But he's standing there. He's not actually, like, trying to stop the donkey.
No, it looks like he's walked out of the crowd to basically watch you go by. It doesn't seem like he's trying to stop it.
I'll wave as I go by.
As you get a bit closer, you start to feel a very strange sensation. You're not sure if it's maybe because you're starting to lose a lot of blood, or maybe it's just the temperature in the air changing. But around this guy, there's a sense of clarity that you understand could only really come if you weren't aware of anything mythical happening in the city. Everybody that walks around you seems to just be normal. You feel that bit of power kind of fade, and you notice that the darkness of your sunglasses fades as well. As you get close, he whispers, "There was a time, Mike, that you could have ran from this. But now here you are, slumped over the back of an ass, making an ass out of yourself, just as you and your group have done once before. Keep making mistakes. I will keep finding you." And as he says that, he backs away into the crowd and kind of disappears. You notice that as he fades into the crowd, again, those bit of cleansing perspective you have through the mist begins to appear again, and you feel your strength kind of re-envision. You feel your abilities begin to kind of repower, and your glasses again get darker, able to materialize and do what they're able to do. Your donkey kind of makes his way up and over the bridge and begins to head out towards the pit. Timothy, it's Sunday. It's about 4 o'clock in the evening. It's been a nice day. It's been, sun's been out, probably about 80 degrees or so. Hasn't been a lot of storms. You know, it's a typical Sunday. People are out and about. You know, families went to church, had their lunches, kind of just milling about for the day. You've been pretty busy lately and haven't really been able to spend that much time working with the crew. You've been having to focus on something else. What has that been?
There has been a disease outbreak in the West Slums.
What kind of disease is it?
It appears to be related to cholera.
Interesting. So, as you would have obviously known, being here, there's a pretty large situation that happened near the West Slums not that recently, and now there's a very large source of water that wasn't there before, and this water doesn't seem to act like normal water. People have been trying to fish it, doesn't seem to really fish anything. And have you actually gone to visit the Emerald Lake at all?
I have, because personally I believe that it might be part of why this outbreak has really started.
Absolutely. Have you done anything with the Emerald Lake? Have you tried to do tests or anything like that?
Yeah, I would have taken a few samples.
And what kind of tests would you be doing on it?
Basic, check to see whether the water has more base or acidity to it than normal water, check the alkaline levels, maybe look at it under, my very not so great microscope, see if there's any foreign entities swimming around in there.
Yeah, you find a few things. First of all, the water has a very kind of milky substance. It even as you pull it out, it's not just a reflection of green. The actual water itself is this very light kind of milky green. As you test its qualities, it definitely has a very high level of acidity. What's strange, however, is that it doesn't seem to affect plant or nature-based life. In fact, it seems to almost assist with that by simply placing a small drop on it. You can see a flower bloom more vividly than it has before. However, placing anything flesh-based into it, it will immediately dissolve and disappear.
Hey.
And you definitely find some foreign substance in there on basically almost DNA, but not DNA. Your bone fragments, very, very tiny particles of disposed bodies. The few bodies that would have few people that would have still lived in Cross End. They're very, very small base fragments of them as a person still exist within that water.
Interesting.
So as you have been dealing with this cholera outbreak, have you joined up with any other doctors, nurses? Is there anyone that you specifically work with often when you have a large job to?
Unfortunately, as per my weakness, there's only one of me.
That is very true. That is very true. How are you treating cholera, especially in the West Slums, where there's probably been a few times you've had to break up some fights where people are literally trying to almost kill each other over whatever you're offering them, whether it's antibiotics or just treatment?
I just, always assure everyone that there is enough to go around. You just have to wait for it. And I tend to foster that by making sure that I take care of the children first, and then if a parent is sick, take care of one of the parents, and then proceed from there in families that have are suffering.
So because this would kind of fall into your downtime move as well, we could actually go ahead and do a montage for you so we can actually kind of give you some things for it. Do you feel like this is going to be focusing more on your brownstone doctor kind of logos where you're trying to build attention towards just being a good doctor? Or are you using some more of your mythical powers, maybe trying to test them out to see maybe how far it can go?
Oh, this is much less about me being a doctor in the traditional sense, and definitely me pulling on my mythos.
Do you think it's more pulling things out of your kit or actually putting your hands on people?
I think it's more pulling things out of my bag because, I know people are sick, so it's less about, identifying exactly what's wrong with them, and mostly about being able to provide, the curatives to get them back on their feet and going again.
So go ahead and mark attention to the healer's palm, and then you get one clue, which is basically a clue that will go towards your mystery, which is what should be revealed.
The healer's palm or the doctor's kit? Which one?
I guess you tell me. Do you feel like you are trying to are you focusing more on saving people from death, or again using your abilities to simply heal people? I guess which one of those questions do you feel like you're trying to answer with your studies while you're out here? Is death final, or what should be revealed?
Yeah, I'm definitely trying to answer is death final.
Okay.
So trying to save as many people as I can. So marking attention on that.
Yeah, go ahead and mark attention on that. Is death final? So for a clue for that, what is your definition of final?
Like, is there, like, if this life that we're experiencing right now, if it expires, is that the end? Is there anything beyond that? I mean, it's, as a doctor, I deal so much with the the black and white of mortality every day.
Mhm.
It's there are some people who die because, well, I mean, they're old. There's only so much that even a doctor can do about age. Plus, if I, as a doctor, if I get there too late, there's only so much even my bag can do with me using it. So it's like, is there anything after? I guess after I fail to save you, is there
So-
something beyond that?
As you're going through, there are a few unfortunate circumstances where the patient is far too old or far too young. For those that are a bit elderly, there's a priest that's one kind of walking around doing last rites. You're able to overhear one of the conversations, and it strikes you a bit as strange. I don't know if Timothy's a religious man, but you were at war, so you've heard priests go around doing last rites. It doesn't seem to be dealing with things of, offer yourself to a god or to Christ, beg for forgiveness for your sins, you will be cleansed of your sins, those kinds of things. Instead, it is will you make an agreement to have a second chance? The terms seem to be vague. They seem to be okay with a simple head nod, a handshake, a pinky swear. With that, the body will be taken on a funeral car and hauled away. But it strikes you as strange that more and more people seem to be agreeing to these vague terms, a simple, will you take an agreement for a second chance? Instead of wandering into a heaven or anything like that.
My type of guy.
Back near the bridge, William, you have just tackled Dominic. He's currently on the ground. You both are a bit out of breath. He goes and he tries to roll over to get on top of you, basically forcing his momentum to then push up and try to get off.
How big is this kid? He can't be bigger than me, that's for sure.
No, he's probably 5'9", 180 pounds. But he seems pretty scrappy, pretty strong for his size.
I could just throw my weight on him. I could just sit on him and he'd be okay.
Okay. Yeah, right now with that status, you're able to kind of hold him well enough, and it seems like he's not able to get up. So he kind of releases and goes, "Okay, I'm
Listen,
done.
kid.
I'm done."
I'm trying to help you here. Stop fighting. Soon you stop fighting. Quicker we get back to safety, we can ask you some questions, and we can get you out of here.
Okay, just get off of me. I won't run anymore. I get it. I knew this was gonna end sometime.
I'm gonna grab him by the elbow and kind of pick him up.
Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, like I said, he kind of points, just go sit over there. He points towards a bench. It's kind of sitting facing out towards the river. I'm done. Just, we gotta watch out. They will be coming back for us.
No,
He will
I've
find
got
us.
a safe place. It's okay. Don't worry.
So, okay, you obviously, you know who I am. Who are you?
Oh, I'm just a school teacher. Somebody asked me to help, and I can't, not help a kid in trouble.
Yeah.
I'm looking. Hold on, where are my notes? Notes. I'm looking for Hans. Your name keeps coming up.
His eyes get wide. Yeah, so have I. I haven't seen him in like a month. I know he was supposed to. I know he was supposed to go to the park. He was supposed to meet with the boss. The boss said he never showed. He has what do you know? Because he was my only source of income. I haven't been able to get anything lately, and those guys are gonna freaking kill me. I'm not doing this for money. I'm doing it for my family. And if I'm gone, my mom's gone, my sister's gone, everybody's gone. Where the hell is Hans?
That was my question to you. You're the last one to have seen him.
Who told you that?
I went to his parents. We had a conversation, found some stuff. We tracked it to the cafe, and then we tracked you to the park, and then some homeless guy gave us a locket, and then we tracked you to the house, and here we are.
Wait. No, I wasn't the last one. The last time I saw him, again, we were setting up plans for him to meet with the boss at the park. And Hans, he was messed up, man. That kid has dived into the misty pool. That stuff we were giving him, though, it was more than he could handle, stronger than he should have had. I don't know where the boss is getting it from, but it's not like anything I'd ever seen before. It gave a kick, but it pulled you in, and it put its hooks in tight. I've been waiting. He was supposed to have this party. He was supposed to go and bring us so much money that my debt was supposed to be cleared. I was supposed to be able to just return home. Everything would have been fine, but he never did. Saying you really don't know where he is?
Just debt wouldn't happen to be about 20 grand, would it?
Yeah, that's what the boss said. I mean, he was trying to order kilos of this stuff. I mean, it was bigger. I'm not sure how the boss was going to get it. He only has just a few ounces, it seems, whenever I'm over there trying to get more.
Well, let's go somewhere a bit safer to talk, and we'll have a full conversation about all of this.
Kind of points, and there's a little like sandwich shop on the corner. I could go for a bite right here. We could at least kind of watch the area.
No, I know somewhere a bit safer. Might not smell as great, but I'm sure we can find you something to eat and something to drink while we wait for my comrades to come back.
All right. As he walks, like, you can tell, like, this kid's not a gangster. Like, he seems like a preppy kid that kind of got himself into a bad place, and now there's a bit of sadness kind of as he walks. Like, you can tell he's starting to put some pieces together. William,
Yeah?
you are not, sorry, Mike. You start approaching, and you can see William and Dominic kind of about to get back on their horse and head over the same bridge you do. You call out to them, or do you just keep going?
I'm gonna focus on not dying still. I
Yeah,
don't
your
need to fall
vision's
off this ass.
your vision's fading, and you can you can see kind of over the bridge where the landscape kind of goes into the darker kind of brown hills, and off in the distance you see the large black plume of smoke just smoking up from the pit. So you can see it's miles out, but you know you're headed in the right direction.
Yep.
Calvin, you've probably walked a few blocks as well. You get to the same corner you had seen everybody kind of go down. Again, the streets are fairly populated. Everyone's kind of busy. And that's when you hear the sound of horses running full speed down behind you. As you turn back, you see two of the riders that you had seen go down into the cul-de-sac, flying down the streets. People are having to leap out of the way as mothers are grabbing their children and pulling them out of the way of these horses as they come charging down the street.
Well, I mean, the crossroads and misfortune is sort of my thing. And Too bad for them. They're going so fast that there could be maybe issues with the wheel.
So it's not on a wagon, it's just two horses running
Oh, it's
side by
just two
side.
horses. Oh, sorry, I thought
Mhm.
it was the wagon still
Nope.
being pulled behind them. Okay.
Oh boy, horseshoes are going flying.
Okay, well, in that case, the wheel of one of the nearby fruit carts maybe
Mhm.
is having, thus putting it in their way.
That sounds good to me. They don't see you coming, so I'm gonna say this is definitely a hit with all you've got scenario.
I'm sorry, I either you cut out or I cut out or something. All I heard was scenario.
Hit with all you've got.
So yeah, with this one, because you're just a
Okay.
vague person in the crowd.
Okay, so hit with all I got. So I'm going to, first of all, I should set this. There we go. So I'm going to use my misfortune. I think control the dice, and we will dabble with the spirits to help cause these issues
That
to the
sounds
lowest
good.
spirits.
Are you
And-
trying to hide that it's you doing it?
Yeah, I would be trying to be fairly sneaky with it.
So I'm gonna say the story tag busy streets are gonna be a negative here because someone might
Okay.
see you acting a bit strange. Yeah, you go
so
to knock the
one.
what kind of fruit is in the fruit cart? It's a big old watermelons or something.
Yeah. Say like
It's just
watermelon.
pineapple and kiwis. Exotic
Um,
fruits.
And this was sorry, this was what was I
hit
rolling
with all
again?
you've got.
Hit with all I got. Okay.
Hey.
Awesome. So yeah, you get a power of 2, and you can choose from any 2 of those. So you can get them good, basically applying a tier 3. I would say for this one, you can do that, and then also, where is it? You get more of them. So you have, if you want
can hit
to,
both.
a tier 3 status you can apply to both, either riders or horses.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's probably the best bet. Yeah, I'm gonna give it to the horses.
Okay.
Tier 3 status, I'm gonna just say tumbled.
Okay.
They sort of went to go and then the cart was there and then both the horses sort of had a bad spill over the cart.
Those poor horses.
It happens sometimes.
Yeah. Still doesn't make me feel bad. I don't care about the riders, but the horses.
Normally I'd agree, but at the same time, I mean, if I take out the riders, they can limp back onto the horses and take off. But if I take out the horses, what are they going to do? They're going to have to run.
Yeah. Sometimes necessary evil. I get it.
So as you kind of look towards this wheel, it pops off, and the whole side of this fruit cart just lists over. About 30 watermelons begin slamming on the hard dirt. One of them slams into the side of a horse, and its back leg kind of spins out in front of it, causing it to go in front of the other horse, which hits into its hindquarters, kind of going up and over, and both of the horses land. One of them landing on top of the rider, who shrieks out in pain, just screaming as his leg has just been snapped. The crowd immediately reacts to this, and a few of the people go rushing over to try to help, not really knowing who these people are, just knowing that there's a sense of danger. Timothy, you happen to have been walking down the street from whatever you're doing on Sunday, coffee or having lunch, and you see this commotion where these 2 horses go flying into the air, landing with a sullen thud, and you hear the cry in agony of someone in pain.
Well, as a doctor, I'm duty bound to head my way over there.
You come over to the scene where there's like 5 or 6 watermelons that have just been exploded, red juice kind of everywhere. The horses are trying to get up, but they're awkward. Their legs are tangled up. And there's one of the riders, he's wearing kind of a typical kind of poor man's suit, a typical, newsman's kind of cap. And you can see that he has a holster under his arm where a gun's under, but he's reaching down to his leg, just trying to cry out in pain, while another guy that looks fairly similar, maybe a bit older, is trying to push this horse up and off of him. There's probably a crowd of about 10 people that are starting to crowd around both of them.
Well, I'll of course go to the man who appears to be actively injured.
His friend kind of looks over to you and goes to like push you back, like, get out of here, not understanding who you are.
No, it's all right. I'm a doctor.
We got to get him out of there. I think his leg is busted right through.
It's fine. I'll take a look. Let me look. That's my job.
So he kind of looks confused as he's still trying to push the horse up and off his leg. What do you need me to do?
Well, for starters, stop trying to struggle, and then I'll actually help get the horse on its feet, so that he can get out from under it. So he stops trying to get in my way from under a horse, because that's just obnoxious.
Yeah, you like smack the ass of the one that had its leg tangled, it kind of wiggles out of the way, and eventually both of them get up. The guy's kind of standing there. You can tell his screams and like are starting to get a bit dry and raspy, and he's starting to look a bit pale.
I do have a side question. Sorry. Would Calvin recognize Hawk's character?
Nope.
I forget your Timothy.
Never met him.
We've
No,
never met.
we wouldn't have described him to him or something?
Nope, because you guys haven't seen Timothy for a while either.
All right. That's all I wanted to know. I didn't know if, like, things were going to
Well,
get exciting.
the fact that he is suddenly pale after having a horse topple on him, instead of focusing on his buddy who obviously has a broken leg.
No, the guy with the broken leg is the one that's gone pale.
Oh, okay. I misunderstood. So I'm gonna help him. I'm gonna go over, and I'm gonna basically gonna do my thing.
Awesome. So, as you go to kneel down and begin to work, the camera's going to turn and go behind the camera of Calvin as he now looks down over the scene. Please, Timothy, describe what he sees and who he sees now.
All right. You see a fairly average height gentleman. He's about 5'11". His suit is what would have been fashionable maybe a decade ago, but not really anymore. It's obviously been very well repaired and taken care of. So he's got a overcoat on, and it's got the leather patches on the elbows, and maybe one of the shoulders, like the right shoulder, has a leather patch as well. The cut though is very military. It's hard to guess how old he is though. He might be in his 20s, but at certain angles he definitely looks much older than that, like probably closer to his mid 40s. He's got sandy blonde hair, no facial hair at all, and you do notice that he has a fairly large leather hand case with him, which he of course sets down as he begins to kneel down. He doesn't look like he's at all bothered by the violence of the situation, like the horses being toppled over and the presence of firearms. None of that seems to actually faze him. He just seems to be ready to get to work to look at this leg.
So as you lean down, Timothy, you can see that where the leg is, it seems that the femur has been crushed backwards. The leg is definitely a bit bowed.
Okay. I'm gonna use my healer's palm ability to make sure that it's just the bone that's been messed up, and not to make sure that there's not any lacerations to any of the veins or arteries in that leg as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna say let's go ahead and do an investigate on this guy. You kind of okay. That's big loud thunder.
Yeah, I was hearing that.
Apparently.
Holy cow!
That almost sounded like somebody just like tapping their mic. Wow.
Yeah, that was big old boom right there.
Okay.
So with that, the skies open up and it begins to rain.
Yay! Woohoo!
Makes cleaning a leg better.
Well, that sounds just like London.
So what tags are you going to use to kind of do a quick search over this guy?
I'm going to use, well, of course, I'm going to use Physician. And then I'm going to use, it disappeared. There it is. I'm going to use Metaphysical Scan and Injury, Disease, Hurts.
Perfect.
And that was an Investigate roll.
Correct. Yep. And as you do that, tell us what Calvin sees. Like what does he see you doing?
Well, he would see me kneel down next to the man, and the bag is still closed, and he would see me basically just like reach right up under the pant leg and start feeling around.
So as you go to reach in, how many times have you had to deal with addicts?
Not very often. It's addiction is, at least in the that I still kind of run in, tends to be of the lesser evils. So, like your tobacco addiction, your alcohol addiction, those kind of things. I don't really have to deal with any of the the opium addicts or anything like that, because the people I usually deal with don't have enough funds for that kind of stuff. So addiction's not really something I deal with all that often.
So as you begin to kind of focus doing your scan of his body, you do come across a few things. You notice that where the bone is broken, you feel a trembling and a heavy pulsing of a vein or an artery that is bleeding much heavier than it should be. On top of that, though, you get this very strange sensation as you kind of reach into his body. Something reaches back into you. Your mind begins to go a bit woozy, an effect of, has Timothy ever smoked opium before?
I think he's probably tried it once as a physician.
You will... Timothy will recognize the initial sensations, a bit of lightheadedness, your mouth gets a bit dry, but then there's this rush and like a searing white flame flowing through your body. All of your nerves immediately begin to just burst with energy. You're going to take a status 2 mental trip as you're being affected by a type of opium that you have never had before. Definitely far stronger than anything you have heard of or read about in any of your medical books.
Oh my.
Do we have a name for this stuff? Or is it just...
This is maybe the first you're finding out about it, or at least someone in your crew is. Calvin, you see this individual kneeling down next to one of these riders. His hand is up his leg, and he kind of breathes in and looks up to the air, a bit of ecstasy, a bit of revelation, whatever it might be. It definitely seems kind of satisfaction.
They're like, broken bones, yes.
What do you want to do in this situation?
This guy's kind of a no good crackpot of a doctor by the looks of it. Well, I mean, I've already killed someone today in this area. I would feel bad if this guy, because do I see this guy that like he's like bleeding like excessively heavy at this point?
No, you don't see any blood or anything. You just see the guy kind of just laying there in pain. The other guy just standing looking over him. You don't see any blood anywhere.
Oh, okay, but I just see the broken leg.
Yeah, you definitely see the bowed leg. It doesn't look normal.
But the doctor doesn't seem to really be doing anything anymore, and now he's just having a happy moment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I still want to help, although I wanted to take out the horses to slow them down. I didn't want to actually hurt anybody this time. So I'm going to go up.
Okay.
And the guy's, you said he looked like he was in a lot of pain.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He was sitting there. He was screaming so much that his voice has gone hoarse.
Okay.
Like he snapped his
so he was
femur
in a lot of
backwards.
pain.
Like, yeah.
So that's good. He's desperate. I like people. So I'm going to go up to him and be like, oh, hey there, buddy. You look like you could use some a little bit of relaxing there, don't you? Tell you what, you take it easy for the rest of the day, and I can help get rid of the pain for you. What do you say? Is it a deal?
So as he's sitting there, give Timothy a quick introduction into who this character is that just started coming up. And
Okay. At the moment, I look like some old weathered dock worker, very tanned skin, sort of leathery. Looks like he's seen a lot of sun. Wearing fairly unremarkable clothing for the most part, at the moment at least. The only thing that sort of stands out a little bit odd, although it looks currently like a brown wood, he does seem to be holding a cane that is topped with an ivory skull at the top.
Hmm.
And he's got similar cap to this, and he's just coming up, and he seems to be offering some sort of deal or contract, just saying I can get rid of the pain if you're just willing to take it easy for the rest of the day.
guy kind of looks up. Just anything, just get me off this fucking street. Get me a solid drink. Just get me out of here, man. I don't care.
Oh, of course, there, buddy. Not a problem. Just give it a little shake on it. And I extend my hand out for a handshake.
He goes to extend his out as well. Timothy, you see him reaching towards a stranger.
I'm just gonna let it pass because I'm a little not all here right now, and this, like, I'm trying to translate whether this is actually happening or whether this is a dream or what exactly is going on here. Because this guy's he's not a priest.
No?
He looks like a dock worker, but he's got something that a dock worker really shouldn't have. And he's offering a guy a thing, and we're going to see how it turns out.
So the guy on the ground goes to reach out his hand. The other one stands in and grabs his hand and goes, Dottie, just let the doc do his work. I'll get you out of here. Don't worry, the boss will understand. He'll send the others after him. Don't have to worry. Guy kind of looks up. All right. All right.
Buddy there, I don't know if you've noticed, but the doctor's not really doing too much. He's just kind of looking up at the sky and smiling a bit. But I can help you out. I've got a bit of good luck and training in this myself, don't you know?
He kind of looks at you and he just sees you as a dock worker. You want to help? Take his other shoulder, and he goes to pick the guy up and try to walk him away from the scene.
Okay, I'll help take his other shoulder to lift him up, but as I do, I'll still whisper in his ear, I can still help you. Just if you agree to take it easy for the rest of the day.
Are you trying to influence him with your powers a bit to force him to agree?
I'm sort of going with the tempting contracts dealio.
Okay. We're gonna say this is a convince to see if he'll shake your hand. Basically, do you have those honeyed words?
Okay, so I'm gonna use tempting contract.
And Timothy, since this is the first time any of you and Calvin have met, I will say you have the chance to either use a single help or single hurt point during the session before we go through and actually kind of create that thing. So if you do want to try to stop them from taking the guy away, you can definitely influence this roll or try to do something as they're going away.
Other than reach in my bag and get something to get rid of whatever this effect is that I'm feeling, because I don't feel right. I'm not really interested in that anymore, because I'm barely paying attention to it as it is, because I'm like, what am I experiencing?
Indeed.
How many fingers am I holding up?
Yeah. The clouds are looking a bit strange, like they're reaching out towards you to pull them in. The faces of the people begin to kind of morph in strange ways, some of them almost seemingly dripping off their face.
Yeah, I need to not be this way anymore.
So what are you going to use to convince them, Calvin, to shake your hand?
Well, at this point, it's just the the very sort of core of what my mythos is about. The temptation of the contracts and deals on the very crossroads which we're literally in. So it's a mixture of my own charm and sort of the honeyed special voice that comes from the expansion of my mythos.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, go ahead and add those power tags in and give us a roll.
So I'm gonna do tempting contracts, charming, and I don't know what should be better at the lowest. I think tricks to the mind instead of the spirits. So I'm gonna do that, and mild success.
Okay, so what status are you looking to influence him on?
Well, I mean, my goal was to make one of those like binding like spiritual contracts. Basically, I was hoping to remove some of whatever hurting status he has, as long as he's willing to follow the contract. I'm not sure how that would work mechanically.
Okay, so you're basically trying to do I'm gonna help you out with this, but there's gonna be a day I call on you, you better be there kind of thing. Okay.
Yeah, so much as I want him to take it easy for the day, and if he doesn't take it easy for today, then any of the healing or restoration I do would sort of reverse.
Okay.
So calling upon my mystical abilities to assist him as long as he's good to the contract. In which case, the deal was he takes it easy for the day.
So for 7, it says your target can choose to either take the status or give in a little but protect their own agenda. Honestly, I think his agenda is on just getting healed, so I don't think he's the one necessarily going against your agenda. It would be if he's able to kind of convince his buddy that this is okay. I think it makes sense that because you're not really going that far against his own agenda, like he'll just say, that bench looks good, sit me down there. Like whatever you have, I'll take a hit. It seems like he kind of sees you more as maybe offering him some kind of drug than standard medical aid. And his mind seems to be a bit woozy. It's possible he's seeing drippy faces and clouds reaching out to him as well.
Okay. Yeah, if he's willing to do it, then yeah, it's with the contract itself and the healing power of sort of the spirits that I would hope to make him feel better.
Okay. So as his buddy kind of takes him over, kind of looks around. All right, look, you keep him here. You keep an eye on him. I'm running to get help. Whatever you got to do. If you got something for him to hit right now, fine. It'll take his mind out of it. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Sure there. Oh, of course, don't you know? I will take good care of him.
So as you sit down on the bench, we're going to cut over to the pit. William, you and Dominic have just arrived. Dominic's kind of having to hold his arm up over his nose as, again, the hot temperature, the lack of rain is making the pit a bit delightful. But as you go in, you hear the sound of trots coming behind you. You turn around and you see Mike coming through the gate as well. And just as he crosses into the gate, he falls off over to the side, right off his donkey, kind of in a slump.
Oh no! I'm gonna put Dominic in the building.
Yeah, Frederic kind of sees you and looks. Who's this?
This is a boy leading. He's a clue for the case. I need a medical bag or bandages or really strong whiskey. Mike looks injured.
Okay. Let's change the game as you scour the pit to see what kind of help is there.
Yes. A straight roll. The greatest.
Well, I mean, you could probably use some of your crew tags.
Well, let's see. What do we got? Yeah, that's what I was
thinking. You could say the Order
thinking.
Council has probably supplied you with something.
Yeah, I'll probably use the Order and... Yeah, I suppose that might be it.
Okay.
So change the game. Hey.
Nice.
Okay. So with that, you could basically find probably some kind of, I don't even know what painkillers they have here, but some kind of painkillers and maybe some bandages to wrap it up to heal up to a tier 2 kind of status. So you grab that, you rush out. Frederic kind of stands up and goes and like stands in front of the door and just crosses his arm looking at Dominic. And it's kind of funny because they're both fairly skinny, kind of young men. So it just looks like kids, you know, trying to have a staring contest.
Just fighting over the sandbox, yeah.
But you're rushing out there. Mike, as you're laying on the ground, you're looking towards where the actual large burn pit is, and it's not very close to your building. It's off kind of back and away, but the whole area is kind of hazy just with the heat. And as you're looking, you swear you see that figure once again walk out of that mist, stand there smiling once more. On the ground, how far they fall. Oh, don't worry, Mikey boy. We're watching you. Don't die on me quite yet. We're about to have some fun. I would like you to go to your sheet, please. Under Nemesis, please write down the name. Let me pull it up here. Agent Yeager. Yeager. As this figure begins to fade, you see William kind of rush through the same area. The mist kind of fades away, and he comes running at you with a bandage, some pills, and a bottle of whiskey.
Maybe I shouldn't have left so soon. Here, take this. I'll get you patched up. Do the best I can. Maybe I can find the doctor. No, he's really out of it.
Where do I need to write that down?
So on your character sheet, you should have an area called Nemesis. It's probably, let me pull yours up real quick. Come on, don't be laggy. So I would put it on the back of your character card under notes. Just put in Nemesis. Agent Yeager. And so with those bandages, we can take that 4 bleeding status down to like a 2 cut status. And you definitely start to feel a bit of that pain dissolve away, and your vision becomes a bit more clear. As the bleeding for the most part has stopped. It's still a wound, but yeah, you're able to kind of get up and start making your way towards the building.
I'm an A-OK doctor.
Timothy, the crowd around you is starting to bring back some nightmares that you haven't had for a while. Just monsters and beasts and things of the dark, and it's just kind of a weird place you're living right now. It feels good, but it also feels not so good. It feels scary, but it also feels inviting. It's very strange. You do notice that individual that you had just been touching seems to have gotten up and floated off into the sky, disappearing past your view. What would you like to do?
I would like to reach into my bag for something to get rid of this.
Okay, so this is going to be a change the game, as well as you're reaching in there to find whatever anti-opium would be. I'm not sure what that is.
Well, that's why it's a magic bag.
Indeed.
He reaches in.
Spiked with adrenaline.
I'm gonna use the creates a curative, heals all, and always within arm's reach.
Perfect.
And this is a change the game.
Yep, so this is to clear status. Basically, you're reaching in to grab yourself a new item.
Hey.
Hey.
Perfect. So then you have 3 juice you can use. So you have the option of creating a story tag. So if you want to literally create the story tag of whatever reliever you're using, you can do that. So it's kind of with you for a while. You have a tier 2 mind wipe, so you can use it on yourself. So that's going to spend, let's see. So that would actually just spend 1 of your juice to do that, because you can give or reduce a status +1 or -1 tier per juice. So if you want to do those 2 things, basically create an ongoing medical aid for this addiction, and then also clear yourself of the status, you can do that.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna clear the mental trip. Correct?
Correct. Yep. So you'll clear that, and then you have whatever. What is it that you actually use? Is it an injection, a pill? Is it a drink?
It's gonna be a tonic. So something to drink.
Okay.
A tincture.
So tincture. What are you gonna call it?
Meth.
And now it starts.
Yeah. No. I'm gonna call it I don't know. We'll just call it grounding potion for right
Okay.
now.
Perfect. So that, as a story tag, that can be used as a +1 or -1 to any rolls that might you'll use it on. I'll say it's an ongoing tag. Basically, you have it until we kind of determine you don't have it anymore, whether it's broken, used up, whatever the case might be.
Okay.
As you take a drink of it, it's bitter, it kind of burns your throat a little bit, and as it's going down through your esophagus down into your stomach, you notice that almost like someone is pulling a veil down from the top of your head down through your eyes. You see the sky kind of reform to this light blue, kind of light white clouds around. Everybody's face reforms, and you feel this pressure, this heavy breathing begin to fade away. You can see that this strange dock worker and the injured person have made their way down to a bench kind of near where this bridge is towards a river, and the other person seems to have taken their horse and gone. There's still 1 horse here, and the crowd is beginning to disperse a bit.
Okay. Well, I know before the clouded feeling came over me, I knew that this man was in serious trouble. So I'm going to close up my bag and walk over there now that I've set myself to rights, and I want to re-examine him.
Okay. So I'll say, Calvin, before he gets there, you do have a moment to continue with whatever you were planning to do. You kind of look over and you see the doctor begin to kind of stand up, and you recognize, as the one guy's running away, the doctor's starting to make his way over.
Yeah, well, I was gonna make that like supernatural contract with him to make him feel better.
So he already kind of has that contract with you. So he's already in agreement to basically do whatever it is you're going to want to do with him. Are you looking to just like put your hands on him and heal him, actually offer him something to consume?
Well, it's just when we shake hands, that was going to be like the trigger type. Was shake on.
Okay. So in that case, we're going to say this is a change the game as well. This will determine on kind of how high of a tier you'll be able to actually heal him.
Okay. I'm gonna use tempting contracts. I'm gonna use control the dice.
Okay.
I think, and then this time it's gonna be if my thing will work. Come on. Thank you. Sorry, my character sheet's spazzing out. And the lowest spirits, of course, because it would be the spirits doing the actual healing.
Okay.
As we make the contract, and this would be change the game. You said
correct. Yep. Okay. So you have 3 juice to spend. So obviously you can use that to clear. Honestly, you could completely heal him with that status.
Okay.
So this is kind of an exchange then, wouldn't it? You're exchanging his healing for a continued contract, or is it more you're just going to stay put for the rest of the day do
All I
that.
wanted him to do was just that he just, if he wants to remain healed, he just has to take it easy for the day, just not do anything.
Perfect. So as he goes over and kind of reaches your hand, it almost seems at first that he's wanting to, he's expecting you to actually hand him something. Again, the expectation that this is going to be drug, but he goes and he grasps your hand, and you hear the kind of chanting of the spirits. You see hands and palms go and begin to kind of grasp around his leg, and the leg begins to morph again, almost as hazy. It goes out of current existence and restructures itself. But as the spirits kind of fade away, you see the leg looks perfectly strong. The color begins to return to his face. His breathing begins to slow a little bit, and you can hear him like clear his throat, and his voice returns to normal and kind of looks at you very strangely.
I'm going to give him like a really big, sort of creepy smile, moving very close to his ear, and just be like, remember our deal. Take it easy for the day. And then I'm just going to casually walk away.
So as you lean in and you whisper to him, he again kind of panics a bit because what just happened, he can't quite understand. And that voice reaches him. He passes out. He kind of slumps over on the bed or on the bench and just begins kind of breathing lightly asleep. You get up and walk away just as Timothy, you come over. You can see that this individual is laying passed out on the bench, and this dock worker has just got up and left him.
I just like tip my hat at you as I walk by.
Voodoo magic.
Well, I'm gonna of course check the gentleman first. Take his pulse, which I'm assuming, since he's actually healed and passed out, is just kind of normal.
It actually feels, it's no longer elevated. You can see the flesh, or the red return to his face. His breathing is normal. He doesn't have raspiness in his throat. He seems fine.
At that point, I'm gonna actually touch his leg, because his leg was like absolutely messed up.
Mm-hmm. You go and you feel his leg, and then you really feel his leg. I'm gonna say let's roll another investigate. Well, you can tell it's not broken anymore, so I guess I'll ask you. After seeing it's not broken, do you investigate further, knowing the experience you had when you reached into this man before?
Actually, you know what? Yeah, I do, because I want to see if he has anything on him that might explain. Because what I got was not from his injury.
Mm-hmm.
I've dealt with those kind of injuries before, and as much as I want to follow the weird dock worker with the cane, whatever that was affected me way more than I wanted it to.
Mm-hmm.
And as a doctor, it's like, I need to know what that is. The
Absolutely.
fact that somebody was able to heal him, it doesn't really faze me that much right now. But because I know that there are other people like me out there. But the other thing really kind of touched off. So I wanna see if he has anything on him.
Okay. So yeah, go ahead and do an investigate. I'm gonna say add that story tag as a bonus as well. It's kind of your resistance towards any kind of attack back to you once more.
Okay.
But yeah, you kind of go and you grab his wrist and.
Yep. Okay, so I'm gonna use physician. No. I want the one that's behind there. No, I want that one. Thank you.
Click above and then click on the ones you need.
Yeah. And then we'll go with physical weakness. And then of course the power tag. And I'm investigating.
Correct. Yep. Awesome.
Hey.
So you have basically 3 clues you can ask about this individual and his physical status.
Okay. For starters, does he have any marks of ingestion, like injection marks, staining to the lips or gums or teeth from like smoking a other than a regular pipe? Injection sites, like raw spots around his nose from like sniffing stuff up it. That kind of thing is what I mean when I'm.
You notice that his lips are dried pretty severely, more than like dehydrated. Like there's a substance that he's been inhaling that has caused them to dry, and then appearing into his lungs, you actually notice that his lung capacity is lowered. It seems he was a frequent smoker of some kind of substance that is beginning to harm his lungs.
Okay. So that's one. Does he have any paraphernalia on him?
You kind of reach around his pockets, and up on the other side, you feel kind of a long stem kind of going down in the other place where a holster would be. Reaching inside his vest, there's a little kind of side holster for a pipe that has kind of the end of it, the butt, right underneath his armpit. Pulling it out, it's a long kind of straight pipe, and on the bottom there's a small like aluminum container. Inside there's a bit of opium leaf and a matchbook from the Cocoa Gate of matches that there's probably 4 or 5 still left in them. You notice, kind of looking at this opium, it doesn't look like any opium before. It is dark purple.
Okay. Opium pipe, dark purple opium.
Purple stuff.
And then a matchbook from the Cocoa Gate with 4 or 5 matches.
The Cocoa Gate?
Cocoa Gate.
Cocoa Gate matchbook. Okay. Just left. Okay. Well, I'm going to, since he just fell, had a horrible fall there with his horse and everything like that, I'm as a doctor, I'm just going to abscond with these items from this side.
Mm-hmm.
Because this purple opium I need to take a better look at.
Opium.
And then other than the Cocoa Gate matchbook, is there any other bits of paper or something in his pocket that would give me any indication of common places he's visited or where he's been in the last day? Ticket stubs. I doubt receipts are really a thing, but ticket stubs, business cards.
Yeah, I'm
that kind of thing.
I don't.
If not,
It doesn't seem like he has anything like that. He has probably a pocketbook of, a couple $100 on him. The revolver, and not a lot of identifying material. You don't see any kind of licenses. You don't find any specific pieces of jewelry or anything like that. He seems to be a run-of-the-mill common, unfortunately, lost soul of the blue-collar district, someone that didn't go the straight and narrow to work in the industrial district instead.
Except for he's got a lot of bread in his wallet. Okay.
Yeah.
Understood. Well, and that's just it. At that point, I will I'll stand up and I'll straighten him out and make sure he's lying comfortably against the bench. And then I will try to set out after the dock worker.
Okay.
Specifically looking for keeping an eye out for his cane.
Okay.
Because
Do
if he's
attempt to walk, or are you getting your
Oh no,
vehicle?
I'm calling my handsome.
Okay. In that case, we're gonna fade back over to the pit. We enter into the the order headquarters. Dominic is sitting up, kind of leaning up against the wall, just staring down at the ground. You can tell he's thinking, he's trying to figure things out. William and Mike, you both kind of make your way into the door. At first, it kind of slams into the back of Frederick, and he's like, "Oh, sorry, senor," and moves out of the way. But you both enter into the headquarters. Fire's roaring. There's a few of your drinks out on the table. Both of your chairs are open. The sunlight, which is strange to see this place a bit more lit up, shows this to be as much of a common shack that it is, with just the few things that signify it as a headquarters. The previous boxes that all of your tools and things came in kind of stacked up to one side. The many bottles of all of the alcohol that have been drunk kind of thrown off into the corner. The crumpled pieces of paper from Frederick's notes that have just been thrown at the fire but hasn't quite gotten in there to be lit, kind of just laying at the front of the fire. It's not a very clean place, but it definitely shows that it's not used just for storage.
All right, well, I'm going to put Mike in his chair.
And I'm gonna pour myself a drink.
And, well, we're going to have Dominic sit down, and he's going to have a drink, and he's going to start from the beginning. How he got all caught up in this, and his life all twisted and turned upside down,
So he sees you all sits down, and looks at the drink and kind of just says, I'm good. Not all that thirsty anyways. Where do I start? You might have heard of my dad, Mr. Stokes. Oh, famous Mr. Stokes and his goddamn fucking mill. I don't know if you heard, he died not so long ago. Left me, my brother, my sister, my mom. She's not doing good. I had to bring money in. We live in the gated district, and without the money coming in from my dad, they're gonna kick us out. And I'm pretty sure my mom, she doesn't know how to live outside those walls. She just doesn't. She doesn't know how to deal with people. She'd be gone, and I can't go without both parents. So I did what I could do. At first, it was just small stuff. I would sell some alcohol to some of the younger kids, or go find some of the opium from the opium dens, and just make sure everybody was happy. It was mostly for parties. It was nothing ever too big. And that's when the boss found me. Kind of stops for a moment. It's kind of weird. He just approached me. It's like he knew who I was or something.
Does he have a name? This boss of yours?
Mr. Lem. Shen Lem.
That sounds about right.
Just approached me and said, "Hey, look, I have better stuff. If you sell it to the people you're selling to now, give me a cut of the profit. You'll make more. I'll make more. I'll offer you protection, and everything will be good." I mean, I was going to make more money selling his stuff than any of my own, so it wasn't going to be anything bad, I was going to just start selling to the same people. They were going to have their parties. Everything was going to be good, and that's when I met Hans. I'd seen him around a few times, but he never really hung out with the rest of us. He seemed to be kind of a loner. He actually goes and he takes a drink. Yeah, I don't know, that kid, he was troubled. His parents are kind of messed up.
Yeah, they're a whole thing.
He used to talk about him first couple times he met me at the coffee shop, but I don't know what it was about this new stuff. It seemed to fade his mind real quick. He stopped wanting to talk. He seemed to be very specific about just, here's the money, give me my stuff, head on out.
What's this new stuff here? What do we got? We got a name for this?
I don't know. I never did it myself. I was only in it for the money. I wasn't in it for satisfaction. I know it didn't look like anything I'd seen before. They smoked it the same way, but it did things to them. I don't know where the boss, I don't know where he gets it. I don't know what it is. I just know the boss gave it to me, and I made money, a lot more money than I ever had before with it. And I was about to make as much as I'd ever need. I don't know. You really don't know where Hans is?
I know where he might be. Apparently, he was approached by your boss at the park.
Yeah, I was the one that set that up. Hans had come to me. He just said he was gonna have a party, and you know what? I didn't believe him at first. Who was he gonna have a party with? He didn't really know anybody, but he said he wanted the biggest amount we could possibly get. And I mean, I knew his parents pretty well off. I saw a chance to make some coins, so I went to the house you actually found me at. Talked to the boss a bit, and he gave me the whole plan. You know, tell the kid $20,000, meet him at Broadview, 9 a.m. on Sunday. I didn't have to go. They were going to handle it between themselves. I gave Hans all the information, and next week I asked the boss what happened. He said he didn't show up, but I don't know. I could tell he was lying. I just didn't want to believe it. I don't know.
My tooth. Oh. Well, he showed up all right. Your boss, from what we can gather, shoved him in a boat and sent him upriver into the industrial district.
He looks honestly confused at that.
Yeah, I don't understand it either.
How do you know this? Why do you think this?
Oh, I have my ways. We've managed to track down where the meeting was, and there wasn't much of a sign of a scuffle, but people at the park saw things, and we've pieced it together.
I mean, I don't think the boss would take anybody. He'd probably just kill him and toss him in the water. He's not he's not very good with restraint. If you guys hadn't come, I'd probably be dead, to be honest.
The boy's rich. I'm sure he probably got in over his head thinking that he could get some money from him.
Mike, do you have any input, or are you just kind of sitting and watching?
I need to go grab dinner. I'll be right back.
No, he kind of covered everything. I'm just enjoying my drink and kind of regaining consciousness.
So the camera kind of follows as Mike lifts the drink and kind of pans up along with the glass going towards the roof, and as it does, it fades into the sky, coming back, and we now see Timothy riding on a handsome cab. Go ahead and explain what it looks like, because it kind of stands out a little bit.
Yeah, Timothy's handsome cab. It is a absolutely gorgeous looking handsome cab, drawn by two very fine horses. They're a bit odd in color, though. Normally, the horses that pull handsome cabs tend to be of a darker color, and these ones appear to almost be made out of gold. Very much their their fur is just this gorgeous blonde shade that shimmers almost on its own. Well, in fact, it does shimmer on its own. And as it moves through the streets, occasionally it seems to disappear briefly and then reappear further down the street, especially when an obstacle seems to get in its way. The problem is, though, is that occasionally when it does that, it leaves these very bright flashes of light that people oftentimes wonder what it is, and it has occasionally, if there's dry refuse near the side of the road, it has occasionally started that on fire. But the really fun thing is it goes where it's supposed to, and it doesn't have a driver at all. There's no driver visible on the handsome cab.
So as you begin to make your way kind of through the crowd heading towards the bridge, you are looking for the cane, correct?
Correct.
The dock worker with the cane. Okay.
Specifically, I'm looking for the cane, because if he's like any of the myriad of other strange people that Timothy has met so far, he might not always appear as a dock worker.
Mm-hmm.
But Timothy thinks that the cane, being such an odd thing for a dock worker to have, may be his sign, I guess, much like Timothy's doctor's bag. Like, Timothy knows that no matter what he were to look like, his doctor's bag would always be his doctor's bag.
Mm-hmm. Calvin, as you begin kind of making your way past the crowd, you do hear the sound of movement, and you see a cart that stands out amongst the rest. You probably wouldn't recognize it as being the doctor's, but it definitely stands out. Would you be doing anything as you begin heading to the pit? Would you be trying to find transportation yourself, changing your appearance, doing anything like that? Or are you just heading straight towards the pit?
Well, I'd just be heading straight towards the pit. I'd be staying in the disguise I'm in right now because there's no reason to change it. And for the most part, I'd just be trying to blend in with the crowds as much as possible. Just sort of be lost in amongst the ordinary people.
Okay. As you kind of get off the bridge and heading further away, kind of past the river, the crowd starts to fade as you're entering more of kind of a rural area that leads towards the pit. Back probably about 200 yards, Timothy, you can see this figure kind of exit the crowd, walking, with the steady steps of someone with a cane. And they seem to be heading, again, kind of towards the large plume of smoke that you know of as the pit, a place you haven't been in a while, but you recognize the location.
Interesting.
Do I noticed that this carriage is sort of following me, like
as
pacing
the
with...
crowd begins to fade? Yeah, you definitely notice that there's a carriage that is heading towards your direction. It hasn't stopped or turned off on any of the streets. It's going down the same path you are. And again, the look of it definitely stands out. But again, you might not be sure if it is part of the gang that you're coming from, someone from the city, could be just about anyone.
Well, if I have any sort of gang members following me, I would rather deal with them in the same place where I'm hoping my friend that can literally fly is resting in. So I'm going to be heading more towards in the pit. And I don't know who this guy is, but I will turn around to let them know that I see them by sort of motioning with my finger and a bit of a smile, and then going further into the pit.
Okay. So as you kind of get to the gate of the pit, you turn around, you motion. Timothy, you see him heading into the pit as well, turn towards you, seeming to beckon you towards him.
I'm going to follow. Because if my friends are in the pit, then, this guy might be trouble heading that way. I mean, I don't know what he's about.
By this
I'd
point,
rather-
Calvin, you can hear the carts maybe 100 yards behind you. It's just about to get to the gate as you begin to walk. The entrance to the headquarters is probably about the size of a basketball court away from you. It's not too far away. You're
I'm
probably
just gonna
equal
wait for the-
distance between the two.
I'm actually gonna wait for the cart to approach. I'm just gonna stand there.
Okay.
Okie dokie.
Does the cart approach, or do you like stop it?
No, it comes right up to you.
Okay. You know, if you were going to be following me all this way, the least you could have done is given me a bit of a lift, making me walk quite a bit of a distance there.
Well, you could have waited till I made sure the gentleman was going to survive, and had I known you were coming this way, I would have gladly offered you a ride.
It was you were a bit too busy on your whatever drug trip or anything you were having there, Mister. I believe I'm a doctor.
Yes, I'd rather.
That's
I do
okay.
have
I
some-
once had a dentist with a bit of an alcohol problem. It happens.
All dentists have an alcohol problem. They also are horrible at cutting hair, but that's neither here nor there. Might I offer you a ride? My friend has a place just up ahead.
Well, I'm already pretty much where I need to go. I'm going to visit some friends there as well. Why don't we go in together?
Ah, most interesting. Well, after you.
Alrighty then.
So
And
you,
then
yeah,
gonna go in.
you both head to the front. Timothy, you go and you stop your cart, and you kind of tie up your horses, and you
They
both
don't
go
get
to like
tied up.
whatever you
They
do with
don't
them.
get tied
You
up.
leave
they
them.
just stand there.
You just leave them. You both go to reach for the handle at the same time.
Oh, after you.
I'm gonna swing open the door.
Both
I
of you
heard the
face
horses.
danger. No, just kidding. As you open the
Calvin!
door, William,
And
you
Timothy.
you see both of them.
Ah, William. Excellent.
I see that you know each other.
Hey, this is a good doctor.
He really is a doctor. That's a bit of a surprise, but I think I'll give it to you.
I
Oh.
suppose he's a doctor. I mean,
Oh,
he
my.
does doctorly things. I don't know.
Well, as long as he stays sober, if he's working on us, then I think I'll be okay with it. Gosh,
Well, you see, the problem is that
it's okay.
Unfortunately.
Addiction's a thing. We don't have to talk about it anymore.
well, let's go inside and talk about it some more
Yeah,
because
well,
I don't
I'm not
know
your
what we're-
psychiatrist.
I didn't ask you to be, and that's quite quackery. That.
We all have our
Guys,
vices, Timothy.
Close
It's okay.
the door.
I
Oh,
will-
yeah. Timothy,
Huh?
would you take a look at Mike? He got injured in a tree.
Of course he did. Fine.
Yes,
let me take a
it's-
look.
So as the door swings closed on this commotion, let's take a quick 5-minute break, refill some water, and we will come back to put some stitches into Mike.